Hello, guys, and welcome to the latest episode of Film Duels. Today, since Spider-Man Homecoming has come out and it's both a financial and critical success, we're going to be commemorating that by doing a Spider-Man themed film duel. And we have three big Spider-Man fans here to duel it out and, I don't know, fight it out. Okay, first we've got Tim, who made a very impressive showing on the Transformers duel. Say hi, Tim.
Hi.
Next, we have Film Buff, who's been on literally every single episode of Film Duel so far.
What's up? Glad to be back again.
And last but not least, we've got newcomer Andrew.
I wouldn't say I'm a huge Spider-Man. I'm just excited to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I was just trying to, hype it up and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for... You killed the hype, Andrew.
Did I? Well, I hope I can bring that back up.
Murdered it in cold blood, like Batman in the DCEU.
Whoa, dude. Come on, don't cross genres here. That's a DC thing.
Gotta take jabs at DC if it's a Marvel duel. And if it's a DC duel, gotta take jabs at Marvel. That's how it is. Can't like both fanboys know this.
Why can't we all just like movies together?
Yeah.
For the internet that doesn't realize this is sarcasm.
Why can't we be friends?
Okay, so you guys ready to start our first question?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, question 1. Let's start with the big one. Let's get this one out of the way, just because it's the biggest question. What is the best Spider-Man film? And who wants to go first?
I'm the newcomer here, so I should probably go last, just so I can get a feeling of what this is all about.
All right, I'll let Tim go first.
Alright, well, mine is the big Spider-Man 2. It's probably the most recognizable. It's probably the most popular one. And, well, I have, a huge nostalgic feeling for this movie because I actually still remember, when I was 4 years old and just picking out Spider-Man 2 from Blockbuster and then just coming home and watching it, 10 times a day. And then I bought the DVD and I watched it 100 times a year and stuff. And it was just, it was just a big part of my life, and it kind of got me into movies. I remember, I can just name every single moment when I see it. I remember every beat from every song, every action scene, some of the dialogue, I can't really do it, but, I remember almost everything from it, and it's just, a huge part of it. And it's such a revolutionary movie because it came out in 2004 when, CG effects weren't that great, but then when everyone saw that train scene and how amazing it looked, the train scene is probably the most iconic scene of Spider-Man. It's the best action scene in any Spider-Man movie, and yeah, that's it.
Nice.
It also has some of the best characterization of Peter Parker as he's dealing with, his choice to stay, to become Spider-Man or not, and whether he should face, Dr. Octopus and stuff, and it was pretty great. And the whole side story with Mary Jane was pretty great as well, even though she's a bit annoying in it. And that's it.
All right, cool. Film Buff, want to go next?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool.
It's definitely the most recent film, but it made such an impact on me that I think it definitely deserves to be called the best by me, at least in that Spider-Man Homecoming. This is a movie that, after a trilogy and a canceled almost cinematic universe, had a lot riding on it because even though he was introduced in Civil War, there was still a lot needed for this film to succeed. It needed to reintroduce Spider-Man to the public. It needed to give him goodwill, and it completely did. This is a movie that completely understands the character of Spider-Man and the mythology and the lore of this character. It treats the legacy with respect while also putting new spins on the characters and the story. It scraps the origin, and it just goes straight into who is this character and why is he doing what he's doing. It scraps it's still a Marvel movie at heart, but even with that, it is by far a coming-of-age movie, and I think that's what defines it, because you see just a kid who's trying to find himself throughout the entirety of the film. He's trying to decide whether or not he should just try to live his life as Peter Parker or take on the responsibility of being Spider-Man. And that's portrayed beautifully throughout. Keaton gives the best, gives us the best villains that Loki in probably my favorite Spider-Man villain too. Tom Holland is by far the best incarnation, at least on screen, of both of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and he gives a legitimately heartfelt performance, something that I don't think Maguire or even Garfield brought to the screen. And overall, I think what it delivers is the perfect Spider-Man film, while also fitting very well into the MCU at large. But it hit me in such a way that I do think it deserves to be called the best Spider-Man.
Nice argument. Okay, next is Andrew.
Yes, so I'm going for a little unconventional of a pick, but I actually think the best Spider-Man movie is Amazing Spider-Man. At least in my opinion, I think it has the definitive origin story of Spider-Man himself, including all the Uncle Ben elements. I think it was far superior than the first Spider-Man movie. And wait, this is my opening statement. I think
I'm just, getting prepared for my rebuttal.
Perfect. I think it has a great love interest, something that they put a more expanded role on in this film after the failure of Mary Jane in the original trilogy. I think it had a good villain, and most importantly, I think Andrew Garfield played a really good Peter Parker that showed a lot of promise in the film to what it means to be Spider-Man. Also, greatest Stan Lee cameo ever. I don't even think that's refutable.
Alright, nice. So, you all...
Hello?
Did he cut out? Yeah.
I think you cut out.
Tristan?
Yeah?
Yeah, you cut out, buddy.
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah.
Sorry. So, yeah, those were all three really good arguments. And, it's interesting because you all picked different, Spider-Man series. So, this rebuttal is going to be pretty cool.
Can I just say something? I really don't know how to rebut against Spider-Man Homecoming since I haven't really seen it, so...
Okay,
that's
well,
fine. I'll do
just,
most of the work
then just talk about... I guess
Tim, then just argue why your movie's better.
Yeah.
Or you can even argue about what you saw from Spider-Man Civil War or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. With that, I'd
I'm
actually
giving you
like...
tips on to how to.
All right, Tim, you can start whenever you're ready.
Alright, so... I mean, Spider-Man 2 is probably the most iconic movie. Like, no one's gonna remember Andrew Garfield just, making his Spider-Man suit when, and then just having those weird goggles and stuff, and then, stuttering when he's trying to talk to Gwen Stacy and awkwardly asking her out, and it's just Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is basically nothing compared to Tobey's, because Tobey Maguire gives a fantastic performance when he's trying to figure out whether or not he should be Spider-Man, and he gives a really heartfelt performance compared to Andrew Garfield just stuttering and pretending to be a teenager when he's 20 years older than that. So, and I can't really say anything about Tom Holland since I've only seen 30 minutes of it. He's fine. I mean, he's younger, but I still feel like Tobey's the most iconic one, and that the entirety of Spider-Man 2 is mostly I get that Spider-Man Homecoming is a coming of age story, but Spider-Man 2 just builds upon the origin, and it focuses on how he has to deal with being Spider-Man and the problems that come with that. So yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, can I say something about that?
Sure.
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay, so one of your first points is that you didn't like how Andrew Garfield was pretending to be a teenager in the Spider-Man movies. I find that really interesting, actually, because when Tobey Maguire played Spider-Man, he was actually 27, which was older than when Andrew Garfield played Spider-Man.
Yeah, but
so did you have a problem when
Tobey Maguire looked like a teenager, like an awkward?
No, he looked 40 when he was doing the first one.
He had wrinkles on his face. Now, can I just ask a question really quickly, Christian?
Yeah, sure.
we are arguing which one of these films is better, right?
Yeah, the films. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting because when I was listening to Tim's argument,
Oh,
all I really heard is why the film was better for him as a child. You know, he was going over a lot of like, oh yeah, it was nostalgia for me, and I know every single moment of the film. Well, I could tell you every single moment of the second Transformers movie, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a great film. You said it's the most popular and most iconic one. I don't think that's necessarily a fair argument to make because your film is also the oldest out of all of them. You know,
no,
it's had time to
Spider-Man
develop.
1. Oh, well, I mean,
Out of all the
choices, right?
ones,
Yeah.
it's the oldest out of all of them. So it's had more time to, get into audiences' scenes. Of course, more people are going to remember something that more audiences have had the chance to see.
But The Dark Knight came out 4 years after that, and most people know about The Dark Knight more than Spider-Man 2 because, yes, Spider-Man 2 is great, but Dark Knight is, objectively better.
Okay, well, we're not talking about Batman movies.
I know,
We're
but
talking
still,
about
it
Spider-Man
came out
movies,
more recently, and then people, I feel like the fresher it is, the fresher that people remember it, so not the other way around.
Well, that's not. Yes, you said yes. That's arguments for fresher. But
No, you're saying
iconic.
that it's because if Andrew Garfield's movie was actually good, then people will remember it as being good, and we'd still get Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man sequels today.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not arguing for the quality of Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is the reason we didn't have sequels. I'm arguing over the Amazing Spider-Man, which is the first movie, which was good enough to get a sequel.
Well, okay, but first off, you said the villain was good in The Amazing Spider-Man. How was the lizard good again?
I can explain to you right now.
Because his plan was just to get an arm, and then when it turns out that he had lizard, and then he had a lizard skin all over it, he's like, oh yeah, I want to be happy and have everyone turn into a lizard. What was that?
Yeah, and Green Goblin is the same thing.
No, I'm not talking about Green Goblin.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can actually
I'm talking about Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus because all he wanted to do was finish his life dream and build that fusion reactor. And that's all he wanted to do. He wanted to build it because it was his dream, and his wife died, and it's really sad. And all he wanted was to make it happy. And the tentacles, the arms or whatever, were kind of controlling him because the inhibitor chip blew up. And
Justin, can I have some time?
Yeah.
I'd just like to say something because you said the lizard was a bad villain, and I want to respond to it. You can go after if you don't mind. 4-7.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? What was the name of Dr. Octopus's wife in the movie? Rosie? Okay, so you're saying that Dr. Octopus was compelling because Rosie died. I actually just watched Spider-Man.
No, I'm not just saying that. It adds to the factor of...
Yeah, obviously, of course. Any emotional turmoil is going to add to a character. I actually just watched Spider-Man 2 today in preparation for the film duel because I knew there was going to be at least one person who said that was the best Spider-Man movie.
Of course he did.
Yes, I was looking over the film and I couldn't help but noticing, that we really only got one scene with Rosie, and she wasn't even directly talking to Dr. Octopus.
No, but
it was more of a three-way conversation.
Yeah,
we understood
how love affected his work and how he met Rosie, and that he was trying to explain science and how she was trying to explain T.S. Eliot, and then he just realized that love is you should cherish love, and then you shouldn't really forget about it. And then when his love actually died at the same time that his dream basically failed, it kind of wrecked him emotionally, and he just wanted to finish that dream because he can't bring his wife back, but he can finish the project.
Can I ask you a question? So you think someone just trying to complete their dream is a good motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Lizard and Amazing Spider-Man then. What was his dream for the entire movie?
His dream was to get his arm back.
Wait, guys.
So he could be seen as equal.
Let's let
and then when it failed, he became evil. I'm not exactly understanding what the big difference here between Dr. Octopus's motivation for his dream and the Lizard's motivation for his dream is. Now, you said his plan was stupid and he just wanted to turn everybody into Lizard.
Yeah, that was.
I actually watched Amazing Spider-Man 2, the first one again, in preparation for this film Duel as well.
Oh my God.
And I noticed that there's a really good parallel between the Lizard story and Spider-Man's story. Now, when Spider-Man got presented with these physical changes to his body, he remembered his uncle's words, with great power comes great responsibility, and he stood up to that.
He didn't say with great power comes great
It's a version of that.
Yes.
It was a bad version of it.
A better version
guys,
of that.
that's refutable, but my point... My point is, he was a perfect parallel to Peter Parker, who decided, the world, no one in the world is going to be like me, but I'm going to use what I have for good. He wasn't afraid of what he received. When the lizard turned into a lizard, the first scene of him, he's afraid. He sees scales on his body, and he's freaked out. He doesn't know what's happening. Instead of accepting his become and working with it, which is what Spider-Man did, which made him a hero, he became a villain in his fear of it. He didn't accept the responsibility of becoming something spectacular, something different. He just let it wash over him and control his life. It actually made Peter Parker.
He didn't. Okay, first of all, he didn't have to become a lizard, though.
That's the character.
He kept injecting himself with the serum, and then he became the lizard over and over again. And then he made him more evil. And then he decided to make the rest of the city lizard people.
Well, evil is up to interpretation, sir. There's different people have different views. There's not necessarily one evil person and one good person.
Wait, guys.
My point is, sorry, I should have let you talk.
Sorry,
yeah. Really evil. He was just bad. Like the whole entire scene where he was, he was just trying to get money to build the stuff. The bank scene. He was just getting money to build the stuff.
That's real. Actually, I forgot about that. Can you answer this question? If he was trying to get money to buy the things required to build this machine, if he was willing to steal, why didn't he just steal the parts required to make the machine?
Wait, Tim just turned off his mic.
Oh, rip.
Okay, in the meantime...
07, would you like to talk in the meantime?
Yeah,
yes.
We forgot.
Okay, here's my thing. Spider-Man 2 is a good film, as is The Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 is cheesy as hell. There's not really a feeling of sincerity throughout the entire movie because it's also cartoonish that you can't really take it to heart. Any message that could have been fully fleshed out in a really solid film is kind of nerfed by Sam Raimi's distinctive style, but very, very cheesy and intentionally cheesy style that kind of undermines any pure emotion that could have come out of the film. Toby is a good-ish performance, but he's such a walking cartoon that any feeling that you could feel towards the guy is just wiped away. Again, it goes back to the cheese. Nothing is really sincere enough to be taken to heart. It's not that fully fleshed out of a film, and it could have been if it just focused on being a good film with a good narrative and good characters instead of trying to go all out and do all these different stylistic choices that Raimi wanted to do. I get that's why people like it. I just don't think it works in the world of Spider-Man. Ock is a good villain,
Hello?
Yes, but also by the... Yeah, hi.
Hey, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
By the end of the film, he kind of just becomes, I'm evil for the sake of I have to destroy the city. He doesn't become that compelling. Lizard, same thing. Really good potential, doesn't really go...
Wait, guys, to destroy the city.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt quickly. Can I get, each of you to do, one or two more points on why the movies... your movie is the best, because I hear a lot about the villains, but I'm not...
Oh, yeah,
I'd like to talk about Homecoming, too, if you don't mind.
Wait, can I... Dude.
Yeah, Film Buff, you can continue, but after that, I just want to hear, 1 point from each of you why you're...
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man, in my opinion, is a better film than Spider-Man 2. It's still really disjointed. It feels like an unfinished product, and it feels like something that feels more
Spider-Man 2?
No, Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
It feels like a corporate product that doesn't feel fully finished. Mark Webb instilled a lot of what he could have in his own heart into that film, and you can tell it doesn't fully flesh out. Spider-Man Homecoming beats both of these films in every regard. It's a very, very heartfelt film that feels like a director's vision start to finish. It's a legitimately good script with great, great characters that you can get behind because you feel this world of Peter Parker. Not only does it flesh out the world that he's living in, which is the MCU at a larger scale, but it focuses on Peter, zeroes in on Peter. Neither of these two films...
it does. Spider-Man... All right,
can I talk?
Sorry. Yeah, continue, Film Buff.
Okay. Neither of those two fully flesh out what could have been really good arcs. They start somewhere with Peter, and they try to go somewhere. It doesn't really land. Same with Spider-Man 2, because Spider-Man 2 just does it with such a cheesiness that it doesn't really land. Homecoming fully embraces what this character is, and it shows his art. He's trying to do his best at every single turn, no matter what. That comes with tough decisions. That comes with maybe dropping his life of Peter Parker to save lives, because that's the dilemma that Spider-Man faces, and that's something that's fully fleshed out through the entire movie. It also has a better and more consistent tone than either of these two, because both of these are very back and forth on what they want to be and what they actually will stand as, because this is a film that knows this is about Peter. This is about him and his struggles and his problems. Spider-Man 2 tries to go from an actual, straight-up superhero movie, which is good, and again, portions of Spider-Man 2 and The Amazing Spider-Man, I do think are solid films. But Spider-Man 2 just doesn't land because everything is thrown in with such cheesiness. It does feel a bit kind of rambling and almost as if Raimi took over. Amazing Spider-Man just feels, again, a bit too much like a corporate product. There are good moments, but good moments don't equate to a good film. Homecoming has everything you want from a Spider-Man film and from a film in general.
Okay, so Tim and Andrew, can I just hear 1 point from each
can I
of
just
you?
say
Why
something?
Yeah,
you
of course.
say that?
Tim can go first.
All right.
I feel like Spider-Man 2, like Peter Parker's story in Spider-Man 2 is actually really important because he starts off with like just saving the day, and then after the whole the part when he loses his Spider-Man abilities, he wonders about the choice of being Spider-Man, so he stops being Spider-Man, and then after that, when he's
because it's hard.
around, he sees people getting beat up and he sees cars getting chased and they're all at everyone's like where the fuck is Spider-Man? But he's just walking around eating hot dogs, and that's
Which makes him seem like kind of a dick.
Yeah,
that's because he's back to being normal Peter Parker, and normal Peter Parker is a dork and he's cheesy, so he just walks around eating hamburgers and just dropping wheels on other people's houses.
You do realize.
So when that scene where in the cafe where Mary Jane is like, oh, I love you,
Is being a bitch.
Kinda, yeah. But then Dr. Octopus takes her away. So then he takes off his glasses and he closes his fist, and then you see the glass popping out of the
Because my girl got stolen again.
Yeah. So then he becomes Spider-Man. So then he steals the suit back, and then he fights back, and he goes there and he fights, and it's an amazing scene. And it's
Here's
just
the thing. He doesn't become Spider-Man because he wants to stand up for the little guy or for the greater good. He
don't.
becomes Spider-Man again because he sees his girl gets kidnapped and then he wants to save her. That's it.
It's true. If I can also add on onto that, you do realize the whole point he didn't stop being Spider-Man is because Mary Jane wouldn't fuck him. That's the least Spider-Man thing to do.
Exactly.
Spider-Man's a noble hero. And your whole thing is that, they really start to question if he should be Spider-Man or not. Sam Raimi already did that in the first film. Because
but Homecoming does it far better. Because again, Raimi's execution wasn't as good. Homecoming.
What about the scene where the apartment was on fire and he goes to save the kid when he wasn't Spider-Man? Like he didn't have the powers, and he just walks in and he's just the hero, and then he realizes, oh yeah, that's that kind of adds up to his realization that he should be Spider-Man again. Because in Spider-Man 1, he did it so easily. He just hopped in and hopped out with the baby, and then he heard the fake crying of Green Goblin, then he fought Green Goblin, and then
and how did he lose his powers again? Was that ever explained?
Yes, it was explained.
Yes,
Mary
it was
Jane
explained. It was
it
was like a psychological thing.
Yes.
So he lost the will to Spider-Man.
All right.
Yeah,
Tristan, wait, should I say my final comments?
Hold
yes,
on.
you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to just talk on Homecoming really quickly because I don't think that film has had a fair chance to start. One person, hasn't seen it. So, I saw Homecoming Monday. I thought it was it was a decent film. But I just had a few problems with it. A lot of it, even though it was very high school coming to heart, I feel like I'm in an interesting position as a teenager myself right now. I didn't feel like Peter Parker's high school was a genuine interpretation of high school. I felt it was like what a 40-year-old thought high school was. All these popularity tiers, kids making fun of others, Spiral on top. It felt very robotic in the sense that it didn't feel like that actual high school could exist. It felt like they just got a bunch of kids together, told them to read lines, and even though I liked quite a few of the kids in the movie, I didn't think they felt genuinely like they were all there just because they were kids. I felt like they were just placed there by producers. You said Spider-Man Homecoming had a lot of loving care and careful detail planning into it. I actually find that kind of funny because I've been reading stories today that it actually messes up Marvel's entire continuity.
I have to come back to that. Can I say it?
Yeah, you can say it in a second. I just want to finish up and then you can go. Yeah, it kind of shows that, even though there was care put into character, they didn't think of everything. There was still a few oversights in the movie. You also said that it was good because, it gave us a fresh interpretation of Peter Parker, who was dealing with his own themes in the movie. If you really think about it, they actually cover the same things they covered in Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and Amazing Spider-Man. His whole arc in the film is deciding if he should be Spider-Man. When that suit was taken away, he was just regular Peter Parker. That's happened in numerous films already. I didn't find it as fresh as much as I found it to be a retread. In Amazing Spider-Man, it did give us a a bit darker version of Peter Parker. In Sam Raimi, where it really embraced the comic roots, Amazing Spider-Man really gave us a more quote-unquote realistic interpretation of Spider-Man. I identify as Andrew Garfield as a teenager much more than I do Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire, just because I felt that his emotions were genuine. I think that's partly because Andrew Garfield
All right, can I say
is such a
something
good actor.
after you?
Can I clarify the
Yeah,
timeline
sure,
thing?
but I'm gonna end this.
I'd like to hear that actually.
Okay,
Can I say
November
something after him?
November 2008, the events of the first Iron Man. May 2009, all in 1 week, the events of Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, and Thor take place, and Cap is thawed out. Spring of 2010, chronologically, is when the Avengers happens. So technically, if you use the term 8 years liberally, like they do in the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming, that would place it at around September 2017, which is when most homecoming dances take place, which is when Spider-Man Homecoming would take place. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd, I know this.
No, it's quite alright. That's actually quite interesting. Oh, one thing before we go back to Tim, you said the movie was revolutionary for its use of CGI. Matrix came out in 1999, buddy, and that's what really made CGI
Yeah.
mainstream.
I'm just saying that, like,
Wait, can I rebuttal against actually Andrew's point?
Go ahead.
Sure.
It does do the same arc that we've seen before, but it does it better. It's all about execution. The ones in Amazing Spider-Man movies weren't as well executed because, they felt like studio products, and the ones in the originals didn't land because they felt too cheesy and overloaded with Sam Raimi's style instead of actually focusing on the arc or the characters or the story.
Okay, Tim, just
All right,
say your
can I-
last point,
can I
and
just
then I'm
say
gonna end
something
it.
about Spider-Man?
Yeah.
At least, like, Amazing Spider-Man focused too much on the untold story of it about his parents, which ultimately led to nothing because, like, and so they open with, like, a scene where in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they open with a scene where they're in the plane or something.
This isn't about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No, but,
Yeah,
like,
we're
I'm just
talking
saying,
about
like,
Amazing
at least
Spider-Man.
my sequel didn't have anything to do with that. Like, it cut away from the
I'm sorry. So
story.
should we using Spider-Man 3 to prove that Spider-Man 2 is not a good movie?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can we talk about Venom?
Okay,
Can you go
guys,
theater?
I've
Can we
got.
talk about that dance scene?
I
Oh my
think I
God,
got a
okay,
conclusion.
What I'm trying to say
Okay.
is, like, they focus too much on the story of Peter's parents, like the opening scene where he's like, "You can't."
They
go in the
dedicated
room,
5
Peter."
minutes to it. and that's too
They
much.
never mention Peter's parents, and
You want to tell me why there's a whole
Sure they
subplot
do.
about MJ marrying an astronaut in Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, and Amazing Spider-Man all the time. Uncle Ben
it's
and
for
Aunt May
drama.
bring up
Okay.
It's for more Peter drama.
Guys.
See if,
So Peter
because
struggling with the
it adds
abandonment
up
of his
to his
parents
story
doesn't
about
add
being
drama.
Spider-Man because
Alright.
he also wants to be there for Mary Jane and he wants to see her shows and he wants to, just date her, but he can't because he's Spider-Man. It's another dilemma for him. That's why it's
Exactly.
Well,
So
she's
she's
getting
getting
married,
married,
then why should
Wait,
he
guys,
worry?
I'm gonna have to end
because
it.
he loves her.
I'm gonna have
He
to.
He
loves
just can't because he's worried about her getting hurt because of his
She's-
enemies.
She was captured 3 times in that movie, was she not? Like
She's
all his
captured
lo-
once in
all-
every single Spider-Man movie.
all
Tell me
his
why
loved
MJ is
ones
a
get
compelling
captured
character. I can
anyways.
tell you why Gwen's a compelling character and Liz Allen's a compelling character. I
You're
cannot
right.
tell you
Gwen is a
for the life
very
of me why
compelling
MJ is a
character.
compelling
I could tell that too.
All right, guys,
At
I'm gonna
least
end this.
Mary Jane's neck doesn't get snapped.
Okay.
Okay,
Not
well,
about
we're not
Duel.
even talking about that movie. So
All right.
All right, guys, I'm gonna end this just because it's gone
Okay, but
over
what
like
about
20
what about
minutes.
you?
Okay, so yeah, for me, this was between Andrew and Film Buff. Tim, you
Fuck.
gave some really good arguments. Like the beginning, your beginning was really good, but when we got into the like rebuttal, I think they kind of knocked you out. They like teamed up on you and really
Yeah,
knocked you
maybe.
out there. Sorry about that. So it's between Film Buff and Andrew. This was really hard for me just because both of them gave like phenomenal arguments, so it's hard.
bro, no, it wasn't. Get to the point.
Yeah, I think this is hard. I think I'm gonna give it to
Tim.
Andrew.
Yeah, I would not give it to Tim.
I'm gonna give it to Andrew for this one.
What?
It was
really okay.
Yeah, it was really close between
What?
you and Film Buff.
Amazing Spider-Man sucks, dude.
No, I
Okay,
think
well, it's
I
not
really
about
liked
the
what
movie,
he
it's
said
about the
about
argument.
the. I really liked what he
Okay,
said about the
whatever.
dark brooding atmosphere and
It
I
wasn't
just,
dark.
yeah, it
Oh,
was.
It's not about
And-
the movie, it's about the argument.
and
The
I
crane
think
scene. The crane scene is
Al-
so
although
you
I
should've
don't
brought that up
agree,
when we
I
were
don't agree
arguing.
that the Amazing
I know,
Oh, and
Spider-Man.
what about the raindrops keep falling on my head montage?
Wait,
that
okay,
was good.
hold on.
I like that sound.
That moment is
I
so
don't
iconic.
think Amazing Spider-Man's the best Spider-Man movie in my own opinion, but I think he gave the best argument. So therefore, I'm gonna give this one to Andrew. But Film Buff, you were really close there, and Tim, you did give a good.
Yeah, I would have
argument.
given it to you, Phil, but not gonna lie.
It was close. It's just your last argument about how Homecoming didn't really feel genuine, like a high school experience. That's what kind of made you win it over Film Buff. But yeah, both were really great arguments. Okay, so number 2. This is our second question. This is another big one. Who is the best Spider-Man villain in the Spider-Man films? And this time, let's start with Film Buff.
I swear to God, if Andrew chooses the Lizard.
No comment.
Oh my God.
Okay, Film Buff, you can start. You've got 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. Again, just like the last one, I chose the most recent pick for this one, but it, again, did prove to me that it should deserve the title of Best Spider-Man Villain. That's Michael Keaton's Vulture. What he brought to this role that I don't think anyone else prior to him did was a sense of overwhelming humanity, because his motivations are blindingly simple, but I think that's what makes it so good. He's not doing this because, he wants to go crazy, or he likes electricity, or he wants tritium. No, he's just doing this because he's a simple thief.
Tritium.
He's a simple thief who just wants to provide for his family. That's all. And it's such a not relatable but understandable motivation, and you can completely see why he's doing what he's doing. He's not some overlord. He's just a street-level criminal with some alien tech from Avengers battles that's utilizing what he can at whatever time he is to do whatever he must do for him and for his family. And I think that's what's the best. Keaton brings the best MCU villain since Loki to life in this, because he gives a raw and pretty much terrifying performance, especially in some scenes. And near the third act, he brings a lot of emotional weight to the film that I didn't expect to be there. But throughout, he is completely horrifying, because he brings like a sympathetic horror villain type vibe to the Vulture and to Toomes himself, because you see two sides to this character, and both sides are insanely compelling. And once you get to the third act, it's even more so, because you start feeling for him and you see where he's coming from. You don't see that from really any other villain, and that's why I think he's the best.
All right. Good argument there. Andrew, want to go next?
I'd rather Tim go next. I'm still getting...
No. Andrew, you go first.
What? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm totally sure.
Okay. So my pick for the best Spider-Man villain is actually Sandman from Spider-Man 3.
Fuck.
Yes.
Underrated villain.
If we're gonna talk about sympathetic villains with simple but heartfelt motives, let's talk about Sandman, for example. In Spider-Man 3, we see he's a fugitive on the run, but he has such a love for his 2 young children who he can't see because his wife thinks he's a monster. And in some ways he is. He's literally a man made out of sand. You know, we feel sympathetic for him when we see him slowly melt away into nothing more than little grains. And we really feel sad when we understand that as a villain, he will never be able to see
his burdens
just because of the lifestyle that he's chosen. He's distanced himself for something that he loves, and there's nothing more compelling as a character. There's no more compelling emotion in humanity than the idea of loss. Everyone understands it at some point, and everyone goes through that emotion, and it's just one of the worst emotions, but most relatable emotions in human nature. I think he's also a great villain because he actually has a reason to hate Spider-Man. In Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man puts on the symbiote suit, and it actually makes him terrifying. You know, Spider-Man loses the morality that he had in the previous 2 Sam Raimi films. He just goes batshit crazy. There's one scene where in the subway, and he's just, he's putting water on Sandman, and he's trying to kill him. You know, Sandman, instead of hating Spider-Man just to hate him, he's scared of Spider-Man, and that's why he has to kill him. He's afraid of what he'll be able to do, and he'll take him away from his kids. I think, but the best reason Spider-Man, I think he has some of the greatest action scenes in the series. You know, Spider-Man 3 gets a lot of shit for Venom, and they handled the Green Goblin, and a lot of his action scenes go quite forgotten. The one where he's at the Spider-Man parade is actually quite good, and I think it still stands up today.
Spider-Man literally just punches him in the chest, and that's it.
All right, nice. Tim, ready for your argument?
All right, mine is obviously Dr. Octopus because, you know, I kind of already stated my whole reasoning for him.
Can you do it again?
But basically, his motivations are simple. He literally just wants to, you know, finish his dream. it's like a huge, like, he's not crazy, but he's just sad because he lost his dream and his wife, and then at the same time he's also being controlled. Like, he's not being controlled, but his robotic arms aren't really listening to him because of the chip that blew up. And then Spider-Man literally crushed his dream when he said, it'll stabilize. He was pretty pissed at Spider-Man for just turning it off while it was happening. So after that, he just goes and he rebuilds. And that scene in that abandoned warehouse, I think, and that scene where he's just alone and he's just talking to the arms, it kind of brings a side to him, because it's like he's talking to himself as the arms, and he's saying that, no, we shouldn't do this, and then, oh, yes, we should, because, I gotta finish my dream, and precious tritium or whatever. And then, before that, wait, I totally completely forgot about this, but the hospital scene is one of the most, it kind of terrified me, because of how kind of brutal it was. The arms, and it was, going in first person and everything. That scene was kind of terrified me, and when he woke up and he just finally saw what the arms did, not what he did, but the arms did, he just kind of realized, at the same time, that his dream and then his wife and then the whole thing with the massacre at the hospital, it just kind of overwhelmed him. So he and Alfred Molina gives a really great performance, and he's really intimidating as well. Those claws are not to be fucked around with. So, and yeah.
Okay,
So,
great argument. So, who wants to start off the rebuttal?
I'll start.
Me.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to go? I started last one. You can go ahead.
I'll go. Is that okay?
Yep, that's good.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So, what I think, I love Sandman, actually, and I do think he is very underrated because of the potential that they had with there, and that's the key word there.
yes.
Because that movie, they nerfed him. Because he is a very sympathetic character, I think that's what made him such a strong presence, especially in the opening scene. And I do think that the birth of Sandman is one of the best scenes in any comic book film to this day. But they don't go anywhere with him. He's completely sidelined, and you don't feel for anything throughout the rest of the film. Yes, there are good scenes with him, and there are good moments with him, but that doesn't equate to a very good villain. You see the humanity in him, you don't get to explore it. Doc Ock is, again, I think he's the best villain of the original trilogy. That's not saying much. Molina's performance carries that character, because without that, he's just kind of a dull villain who lost his wife and then got crazy because of a chip in the back of his mind. He wants to create a nuclear ball that'll suck in the York. Okay.
They literally explained it. They said, he was like, hey, what happens, what if the artificial intelligence, the arms, get, aware?
So he goes
said,
crazy because arms and they take over his mind.
Going to fix that. I can control what they say, and then it just blows up. And then they just, they just do whatever they want. And he goes with it.
Okay. Here's the thing. Molina's performance carries that, because if you strip that away,
exactly. Molina is a great actor.
Yeah,
yes.
And he brought all of it to his performance as Dr. Octopus.
Exactly. And if you strip Molina's performance away, you don't have a compelling character.
Villains in the comics too, and Molina brought such.
Well, we're not talking about the comics. The comics
we're not talking about the comics.
Yeah.
Vulture is a bad comic villain, but he's great in the.
I actually have something to say along O'Shevin's point. I feel like the reason that Dr. Octopus really fails in that movie is that he doesn't particularly care and hates Spider-Man. If you think about it, both times he fights Spider-Man in the movie, it's only because he has to. Spider-Man just happens to be there when
precious tritium.
He needs to kill Spider-Man or else he won't get the tritium.
Yeah,
I feel like the main villain of Spider-Man 2. Actually, I feel like the main villain of Spider-man 2 is actually Peter Parker. Dr. Octopus feels like a side story. They forget about him halfway through the movie, so Peter can have his little condescending moment on himself. I don't know if I want to be Spider-Man. He's not a compelling villain because he doesn't actually care about the main character. He has his own story. And in fact, maybe.
Well, the main character also, Spider-Man, also did kind of destroy his project.
But he didn't destroy his project. Spider-Man attempted to destroy the project, but he failed.
No, he did. He ripped the things, and then it just ended. It just crashed.
Yes, at the end of the movie. But
not at the end.
At the start, Spider-Man tried to do it. Do we have a fact checker here?
That I think
they can back.
Pardon? Well, what's the fact check? Oh, I'm looking it up now.
Spider-Man, when Dr. Octopus is born, the Spider-Man actually succeed in pulling the plug.
Can I defend Vulture?
Wait, hold on. Sorry, what's the question?
Alright, can I just say something about Sandman, though?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so Sandman had only, 2 action scenes, and then, the last one was literally just him as like it wasn't even Sandman because okay, the first two scenes had
Action scenes aren't what make a compelling villain.
The first two scenes
right out of my mouth.
Okay, the first two scenes, Spider-Man's like, I'm the sheriff at these parts, and then he just punches him through the sun. He's like, oh, whoa. And then he punches him, and then he flies away. He gets the money, and then he flies away, and then there's a sandstorm. And
Tim, Robert Redford has 0 fight scenes in The Winter Soldier and still one of the FC's best villains.
Not to mention, Hannibal Lecter barely has any action Silence of the Lambs, but he's still known as one of the best villains.
Sandman doesn't do anything. He just, we see that scene with his daughter, and that's it. And that's the only characterization we get.
Are you telling me you didn't feel a single thing for Sandman?
Really.
As soon as he was crumbling the sand, the CGI literally showed emotion in his face. He was screaming out in pain. He was literally turning into sand, and you're telling me that did not emotionally...
Okay, the CGI face might have shown emotions, but the performance was really bad.
I'm sorry, you're using the argument that Dr. Octopus's arms added emotion to his performance. Are those not entirely CGI as well?
I didn't say they added emotion to his performance.
I literally
said he added emotion to his performance because of the arms.
Yes, but you said they also made him part of a compelling character. Well, he's CGI. Those arms are CGI. Are you saying just because they're CGI?
I didn't say no. I said that they're a different character and he's being controlled by them, which makes him, more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Vulnerable?
No, not vulnerable. But Sandman just has the only Wait,
yeah, and Ock has arms and kind of does bad guy things occasionally.
The first movie because there's no evidence of Sandman ever being caught in the first movie. It was just that one guy.
Yes, but that's the point. That he wasn't caught. That's why he was on the run.
He was caught. That's why he was in jail.
That's very interesting.
He was caught later down the line, not in that same film.
Yeah, Peter Parker didn't know about it, if you remember correctly. In fact, there's a scene where it's actually revealed that he was a co-conspirator, and that added actually the Peter Parker's emotions.
I won't defend you, but I'll defend continuity. That's Tim. You're wrong.
Where did he go? Where did he go when the other guy was just getting when he was in the car? He was in Uncle Ben's car, and then there was remember when Sandman said that he shot Uncle Ben when he was trying to get the car? Where was the other guy?
Okay, we're arguing about continuity not the strength of the characters.
Anyway, I'd like to say something. You said Sandman only had one compelling scene, and that's the scene with his children. That's not true. At the end of the movie, when he starts working with Spider-Man and he explains the situation to Peter, what happened to Uncle Ben, we see... Well, Peter at this point is trying to fucking kill him because he thinks he killed Uncle Ben. Anyways.
He gets blown up by New Goblin, and then
there's a scene where Peter forgives him.
Anyways, that's actually a compelling scene because we see he doesn't want to be a villain. He just wants to be there for his children.
At the end, he says that he realizes it's Peter Parker, and he's like, "Oh, Peter Parker, brilliant and lazy."
Yes, but you want to know the difference is that Sandman actually had a
sacrifices himself because he realizes that the town's actually going to get destroyed, and then he actually stops the claws because the town's actually going to get destroyed because of the machine. So he said, "I got to drown myself."
Okay, can I just call out bullshit because you can spoil your movies, but I can't spoil mine.
It's new.
Well, can I talk about Vulture actually?
Can I defend that?
Yeah, one person hasn't seen Homecoming, so I feel like it's not going to get attention it deserves. So you said it brought overwhelming, because he has such a connect. Tim, you might want to mute my mic for a little bit. I'll message you because I'm going into spoilers territory.
All right, fine.
Okay, I'm gonna put a spoiler thing up just so that at this part so that people
Yeah, so
write spoilers or something.
Yeah, put a spoiler mark.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes,
everyone has seen Spider-Man 2 and 3.
Okay, anyway, so
everyone knows what happens.
When it's revealed at the end of the movie that he's the girl that Peter Parker has a crush on his father, that was a pretty good twist. I'm gonna admit it. I'm not the biggest fan of Homecoming, but that was good. You said the whole connection to family, making an overwhelming humanitarian character as having connection to your family is a visceral feeling that we all feel. I'd actually disagree with that statement because throughout the whole movie, he didn't really have a scene where we understood his connection to family. In fact, I can bring up 2 points that makes it seem different. He ignores his wife's text messages when they're first revealed. He doesn't respond to them. And the fact that he didn't mention his daughter at all really makes me think
text messages.
Yes, text messages. When he returns from
your wife calls, yes.
dropping Peter in the lake, he had text messages and he didn't respond to them. Yeah, no, that makes me not feel like he's actually a family guy. I felt like he was kind of ignoring them for a certain part of the movie. That was at least the vibe I was getting. Then when it's revealed who his family is... Oh, okay. When it was revealed who his family finally is, he didn't really have a scene with them where we can understand his connection to them. He kissed his wife once, and he said his daughter looked pretty. That's not a compelling connection enough. You know,
Can I
I would
defend that?
love
No,
to
can I
see a
defend
scene
that?
where he's talking about his wife, where she's like, "Do you need to go or something?" You know, we can see his love for his family, but I don't think his Homecoming really elaborated on that. Instead
Can
of
I
wanting
defend
to focus. Yeah, go right
Yeah,
ahead.
go
Okay,
ahead,
in
Fumbo.
wait, Tim's on mute, right?
No, wait. I gotta
Put me on mute
too.
right now.
All right.
Okay.
Tristan, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
All right. Tell me when it's over.
Okay.
The scene in the car between Toombs and Peter when they're about to go to Homecoming, and he's talking, "I'm doing this for my family. You know what that's like. I'll do anything for them. I'll kill you and everyone you love for them to protect them." That's good because you understand why he's doing what he's doing. And also, Keaton, again, Sandman, there was potential there, and they could have made him the best villain, but they didn't, and that's where I think there's a difference here. Because they really flesh out the Vulture in Homecoming. They don't flesh out Sandman, Spider-Man 3. That's a muddled movie, and they don't spend enough time with him. Homecoming, they do spend a lot of time with the Vulture, and you get to know him as a character, and you see him as a terrifying criminal, but also, once you get to see the man behind the curtain, he is a very compelling person. And by the third act, in the final scene, or the final kind of action climax on near the whole theme park and everything with the crashed plane, you see that, again, he is doing this for his family. This is one last job, and yes, he'll kill whoever gets in his way, and that's what makes him compelling. Yes, he's a criminal. Yes, he's kind of evil, but that depends because he's doing it for his family, and you understand where he's coming from. Sandman, you understand where he's coming from. He's not fleshed out. Vulture, they flesh him out. They make him a real, tangible character, and Keaton brings a lot to the movie and to the role that I don't think Thomas Hayden Church did. And can I just rail on Doc Ock for a second?
Well, let's get back to him because he's still on mute, right?
Tim,
Okay, yeah,
you can,
unmute.
yeah,
a
you
little
can.
bit about what you said about Vulture right there. Tim, can you hear me? I hope not. So you see in the scene in the car, you know, it proved that he was compelling because he cared about his family. There's a famous rule when it comes to movies.
Tim, how long is
There's
this?
a really big difference between just showing to or telling the audience that, yeah, I care for my family, I'll kill you.
Really go down in
When
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Vulture, his actions say differently. He wasn't willing to kill Peter. We saw that at the end when the opportunity, he did not kill Peter, and that's what led him to his downfall. It was more of a tell, like, I am going to kill you. You know, that doesn't make him a compelling villain. None of his actions showed that he was willing to put Peter's life behind his family. Also, you said the scene in the car connected him to his family. I'd argue he was talking more to Peter in the car than he was to his own daughter. How can we say he has a connection to his family when we don't even see them having one conversation together? You know, even at the end of the movie, when he goes to prison, they could have shown a scene where he's talking to his daughter or his wife, but what he did, really flesh out his character, show that he's sorry, but he did for them. They didn't take the opportunity to. Instead, they teased the villain for the second Spider-Man movie.
Because I don't think you need to show a conversation between father, daughter, husband, wife to see that there's a connection. You just have to show emotion in his eyes, and Keaton brought that to his performance. His emotional acting through his facial expressions alone, but also through his dialogue and his line delivery,
Hey, Tristan,
brought
I'm
out
gonna
a
go
certain
get, like,
emotion that I think
okay?
that I don't think Thomas Hayden Church brought out, or even Doc Ock. Because now you can unmute me. I'm not going to talk about Homecoming anymore.
Tim just left, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you say facial expressions tell everything, because with Sandman, we do get those facial expressions. And in fact, I think because he was made of sand, it made the facial expressions more interesting.
Oh, no, I agree. The Bird of Sandman scene is brilliant, but they don't go anywhere with the characters.
I'm talking about the whole fucking film, man. Like, we see a lot of what he thinks of his children, and there's an ending scene with them together. There's a lot of Sandman that is explored. I think you're just, obviously the film has a lot of villains, but I think you're undermining that with the idea that Sandman has no potential. One of the points you made is that...
No, he has potential. He just didn't have a good execution.
You said one of the points you made was that he was the best MCU villain since Loki. That's really not saying a lot, because MCU is actually kind of known for having bad villains. You also said he was terrifying and gave off a horror vibe. Whenever I saw Michael Keaton on screen, I think this was intentional. He gave off such a dad vibe that I couldn't take him seriously. You see, when I saw him walking down in that suit, his little beer belly, I couldn't take him seriously as a villain. As soon as I saw him out of his suit, all attention that was caused by those screeches and those sound effects just completely disappeared. He was too much of a dad to be intimidating as a villain.
Tristan, can I unmute yet?
Yep, you can unmute. And then,
Alright, great.
Okay, well, now can I go against Doc Ock?
Sure,
Go
but
right
then
ahead.
we'll give Tim a
Okay.
point, and then I'm gonna finish this round.
Can I go against Doc Ock?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I've said this, but you didn't let me complete my point. Melina completely owns that role. That's it. Take away Melina and replace like with Joe Schmo in that movie. He doesn't really add anything because he's not an interesting character with no real interesting motivation. He's just there. He shows up. He does bad guy things occasionally.
Yeah,
But in the end, it's really not a compelling character.
All right, but you can't say the same thing about Thomas Hayden Church. as Sandman though.
We're not talking about Sandman. He was trying to counter you. We've already discussed Sandman in full.
And I've made same points against him. I think that he was nerfed by the end of the movie, and he wasn't a really fully fleshed out character. Yours was just a performance. It was relying on the performance. People say that about Heath Ledger. That's not true because Joker is a compelling performance. I know it's a completely different argument, but I'm just saying performance doesn't make a character. A character still has to be compelling in the script and how they bring him to life in the narrative of the film. And he's not that compelling if you just look at it as an overall script and overarching narrative in the entirety of Spider-Man 2.
All right. Tim,
okay.
quickly
This seems
say
like
your
a good
last
place
point.
to end.
Yeah. Wait, Tim, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You have a couple. You have like a minute to say your last point, and then I'm gonna end this round.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've practically said all about it. Like, I think that, like, yeah, I mean, Alfred Molina gave a great performance and everything, but even if he did, I still think, even if he didn't, I still think the character was, like, the whole backstory behind him was pretty interesting because, I mean, it is really hard to see your dreams fail, especially one that you've been working on this whole life, as he explained it, and at the same time lose your, your family, that the only family you have, and then, you just want to complete, like, the only life goal that you have, and that was his whole point. And, like, the whole Spider-Man, I know he only wanted to fight Spider-Man just to get the tritium, but it still goes to, like, the whole life goal thing, because he needs the tritium to make the solar thing, and, and it also adds to the character of Harry, who, is another side story, but it still, fleshes out that side too. So, I mean, that's all I got.
Okay. All right. So, this was a really close round between the three of you.
It's probably between them because I didn't even hear anything they said. So.
No, actually, I thought you gave some really good points there, and I thought, they did knock Doc Ock pretty hard by saying the performance was what made Doc Ock so great, but I think the same could be said about the Vulture. But anyways, I think one thing I didn't hear is Thomas Hayden Church actually isn't a very good actor, and I didn't really hear anyone point that out.
Yeah,
but,
I was trying to say that.
Okay.
A performance doesn't make a character.
Yeah, I know. That's
what I was
saying,
trying to say.
Though,
When you guys were talking about Doc Ock, I was like, well, Thomas Hayden Church wasn't great as Sandman. He didn't really sell it to me. Something to be said about Sandman.
For me, this was pretty close, but I have to say I'm going to give it to Film Buff. I think he gave a really good argument here. And also, the points about how he didn't really have, any scenes with his family, I think it was more, unspoken. It was very subtle about it.
Wait, what family? What are you talking about?
Oh, well,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
Don't worry, things. Aunt May, yeah, that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways.
That's fine.
I'm going to give that point to Film Buff, but it was really close between the three of you. That was a good round. Okay, so the next question, here we go. I'm just going to quickly bring it up. Question 3. We're halfway through this thing. Imagine Tom Holland wasn't cast as Spider-Man in the MCU. Which actor would you choose to play Spider-Man or Peter Parker? And
Andrew's trying to go first.
Yeah, let's start with Andrew.
All right, I'm fine with that. So I struggled with this one because I really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but I'd say if he wasn't to be Spider-Man, I would actually pick Ansel Elgort to be the next Spider-Man. Now, he recently starred in the movie Baby Driver, which is one of my favorite films of the year so far, where he played a kind of teenager kid that's in some ways quite similar to Spider-Man. He starred in a lot of other movies like The Fault in Our Stars. Once again played a teenager. That's not true. If you look up his IMDb movie,
he's also in Divergent. That's it.
Anyways. He's showing a lot of promise as an actor. He knows what directors to work with and how to work with the directors. And I'm looking forward to see. I would look forward if I heard that he was going to be the next Spider-Man.
All right. Well, okay. Is it my turn?
Yep.
All right. Well, I would pick Logan Lerman because honestly, Perks of Being a Wallflower is like one of my favorites, and it's like the most relatable movie I know. Because like I love her and all, but it's not really like it's relatable to the sense that like about relationships and stuff, but I can't really relate to the whole robot stuff. But in terms of relatableness, it like to the max, I would pick the Perks of Being a Wallflower, and it totally fits because it's a high school movie, and Peter Parker's in high school, and since everyone's like, oh yeah, Homecoming is a high school movie, it's a good high school movie, like Logan Lerman already played in a great high school movie about being a freshman and with the problems of like his best friend committed suicide, and he's like a troubled kid and all that stuff, and he has problems, and then just change that up with his with abilities of being his Spider-Man. I think he could give like a really great performance like he did in Perks of Being a Wallflower. Like, yeah, he's in those bad Percy Jackson movies, but honestly, he's kind of the funnest thing in those movies. And like, if he brought a little bit of that Percy Jackson fun into the Spider-Man side, and then more of the Perks of Being a Wallflower side to the Peter Parker side, I think it'd be a perfect fit.
All right, really great argument there. Let's give it to Film Buff, except he has his mic off.
Oof.
Film Buff.
That's my turn, right?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
your turn.
Yeah, okay. So, as much as I adore Tom Holland, I do think he is the perfect incarnation of Spider-Man he's the best incarnation that we've had yet. If I were to replace him, I would pick Dylan O'Brien because he hasn't been in many solid projects yet. But I think if you look at every single thing that he's been in, he's always been the best part of whatever he's been in because he brings a certain charm and charisma to every single role. And I think that if you give him a role like this, he could definitely break out as a star that he has the potential to be, because he is a really good actor. And I think if you place him in the role of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, he could bring exactly what you need. He could be the kind of introverted, keeps to himself, kind of nerdy kid as Peter Parker, but he could also bring out the very electric quips and charm and exuberance that he needs to be Spider-Man. And what?
Wait, let him finish his first point.
Yeah, I'm just waiting until he finishes it.
Okay, if you look at what's not really a good show, but has a good performance by him throughout in it, Teen Wolf, he is kind of playing the character of Peter Parker in some respect, because he is kind of playing the awkward, bumbling outsider. Yes, he's hot, but so is Tom Holland, so it's not really a problem. It's more of what can he bring to what I've seen episodes. What can he bring to the table as Peter Parker, as Spider-Man? And I think he could bring a very accurate, very faithful, and very refreshing take, because he'd bring a more accentuated sense of fun to the character that, even though I think Holland has brought, he could be amplified.
All right, can I just say something? Dylan O'Brien's going to be in a movie with Michael Keaton later this year. So,
which movie?
Okay.
Just because of that Spider-Man Vulture thing.
I get it.
Okay, I'd like to start with Logan Lerman, for example. So you said he would be a great pick because he was in a movie called Perks of Being a Wallflower. I have seen that movie. It's pretty good. You said because that movie takes place in high school, he would also be a natural transition to Peter Parker in high school. I'd like to bring up the fact that Jonah Hill played a high schooler in Superbad, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll be a great Peter Parker. Just because a person plays someone in high school doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be perfect for a role. Also,
I'm saying
I'd like to bring up
basically his character is basically like troubled a bit, but if you change that up with like just his emotions of being Spider-Man and like just the whole thing about the whole thing that I've heard happens in Spider-Man Homecoming where he's like, should I be Spider-Man or something like that. You just add that in, and then it's like a good performance from him in that movie.
Let's talk about his performance, for example. Let's go over some of the movies in his repertoire. The Percy Jackson films. I'm sorry. He was terrible in those. Even you said those films were terrible. And even though he was the best part, that's not necessarily saying a lot when the film's a god-awful piece of shit.
He was like...
Anyways, you said he would be a good fit because the character in Perks of Being a Wallflower is quite similar to Peter Parker. I actually disagree. the reason Logan Lerman got the role of Charlie in The Perks of Being the Wallflower is that Charlie, as a character, is emotionless. He's supposed to be dry. He's not supposed to be filled with personality because he has no idea who he was, and Logan Lerman was perfect for playing that, an emotionless character. Peter Parker is brimming with emotion. That's what makes Spider-Man. His quirky jokes, the fact that he's very expressive as a teenager, that he doesn't want to know what to do, and how he interacts with others. It's all very expressive. Logan Lerman is a quiet actor. Peter Parker is a big part to play, and I'm sorry, a quiet actor can't play a loud character, especially because he's very unproven in that aspect. Dylan O'Brien, right. I think a problem with him is that he's unproven as an actor. At least with Tom Holland, or even my pick, Ansel Elgort, they're both proven as actors. We know they can act, and they can act. Like the Baby Driver was particularly good role for him, and we can see that he can play teenagers and characters similar to Peter Parker.
Can I just say something about Ansel Elgort?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think if you haven't seen Baby Driver, you wouldn't really choose him though, because he's okay in Fault in Their Stars and then those minor roles that he has. But if you haven't seen Baby Driver, you probably wouldn't have picked him. So I'm just saying. Okay, well, this was back in 2015 when they were trying to pick out.
Wait, no, I'm saying what if what we're talking about is if they were going to cast it right now and Tom Holland was never cast and they're starting it right now. So yeah, right. that doesn't.
I'd actually like to talk about that argument for a second by comparing it to Tom Holland. If I hadn't seen The Impossible, I wouldn't have been confident in Tom Holland being a good actor either. Just because they have one movie to prove themselves doesn't necessarily mean that one movie isn't enough.
You just used that argument against Logan Lerman because you said he wasn't proven and neither was Dylan O'Brien.
Yes, so, I said he wasn't proven because he hasn't played a character similar to Peter Parker, and neither, in my opinion, has Dylan O'Brien.
Dylan O'Brien looks too similar to Andrew Garfield, though. I'm just saying.
Okay, well, it's
that doesn't matter.
It's about looks. It's about characterization.
I'm just saying that's it's kind of weird because
I got it.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I've seen Dylan O'Brien in is The Maze Runner, and I barely even remember that movie. I remember the books, but I don't. The movie was so different that I don't even remember it at all. And, I guess he was alright. I mean, he was just there, and he was like, what the fuck's happening? Because since he was, the new character in The Maze or something like that. So, I mean, that's all I remember from Dylan O'Brien. I can't really say much about him.
Okay. Anyone else have any other points before we?
Yeah, I have points.
Round? Okay, go ahead, Phil.
Okay, Logan Lerman, as you said, is pretty much emotionless in everything we've seen of him. He's given good performance, but he hasn't really brought anything that resembles either Spider-Man or Peter Parker to the screen. I don't think he could pull off a very introverted, kind of awkward.
Though he was heavily considered for it.
I know,
but a lot of people were considered. They considered 5,000 people.
He was in the top 7 or something like that.
I understand, but I'm just saying, for the sake of the argument, I don't think we've seen anything that could, again, prove him to carry any of the charm or the
did The
overwhelm.
Impossible have any charm for Tom Holland to do it?
Yes, it required. Actually, we're not talking about Tom Holland. We're talking about
Steve, but you can't
we're talking about
say that
Logan
Lerman,
right?
Proven himself because it's Tom Holland hasn't proven it. He was one movie that some people have seen. I haven't heard about The Impossible since he was
The Impossible.
Tim,
really?
Tim, I'll give you that. But here's the thing: I cannot see Logan Lerman giving a charismatic and overwhelmingly joyous performance as Spider-Man, nor could I see him as a kind of awkward, very lovable Peter Parker. And Ansel Elgort, he is too old. I'm sorry. He looks like he's 30. And also, he just carries himself with a kind of swagger that... He carries himself with a swagger that I cannot see being Peter Parker, and he carries himself with such an overwhelming swagger that I can't see him being Spider-Man either. I don't see him kind of really pulling up.
He was pretty charismatic in Fault in Our Stars.
So. Oh, he's charismatic, but I don't think he can bring, again, as I've said, the joyousness to Spider-Man and kind of the off-the-cuff wittiness.
He was really happy even though he had cancer, so...
Yes, but he can't bring the off-the-cuff wittiness to Spider-Man, and he can't really bring the...
I'd argue that he was really witty in Baby Driver. Actually, I looked up Ansel Elgort's age before starting this. He's 20. Tom Holland is 19. In terms of age, he's almost an identical to Tom Holland will be.
Wait, hold on. Hold on,
If he was
Ansel
cast, he would
Elgort.
still be the youngest Spider-Man.
Ansel Elgort's 20 years old. He looks like he's like
Yes.
30. What the heck?
Yeah, he looks
He looks
30.
like he's
Holy
26.
crap! No, he's 23.
You know,
He's
a lot of
23.
people still think that Tobey Maguire was a good Spider-Man, even though he looked fucking 40 in all his
Wait,
films.
hold on, guys.
Okay?
Ansel Elgort is 23. I just looked it up. But
He's what?
23.
Okay, well, regardless,
Still,
he would still
yeah,
be
that's
the
still
youngest Spider-Man ever cast.
Yeah.
Like,
No, he wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't. Tom Holland.
oh, sorry.
Oh, Tom
yeah,
Holland's
if
19.
if Tom Holland wasn't cast,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, here's my thing. Dylan O'Brien, again, I'm going back to Teen Wolf, even though it's not that good of quality of a show. But his character on the show does kind of demonstrate qualities of what Peter Parker
Dude,
is.
honestly,
at
the
this
fact that you've seen Teen Wolf probably.
Well,
Hey,
no,
I will
hold on,
do
you
what I
can't
can
use-
for my argument.
Yeah,
okay?
you can't use that in an argument against.
Yeah. No, look, he does bring a lot of the qualities that I've seen in Peter Parker and what I want Peter Parker to be during his character in his high school times, and when he's out being, a teen wolf, I guess. He does kind of, he does give a emotional performance, at times that I do think could help bring out the far more emotional moments in Peter Parker's journey, trying to figure out who he is. But again, he can bring the joy, he can bring the awkwardness, and he can bring out the emotion when needed. I don't think really either of your two picks could do that, even if they tried. I like both of them. I don't think they fit the role of Peter Parker or Spider-Man.
I'd like to comment on that, actually. First off, I think Ansel Elgort's great in Baby Driver and has a lot of charisma. Your point about Teen Wolf, there's a really big difference between acting for TV and acting for film.
Yeah.
That's the reason
Yeah.
why, a lot of actors, when they go from trying to switch mediums, a lot of them struggle to switch them. A movie is a lot more condensed emotions. You only have an hour and 30 minutes or so in order to say everything about a character. Well, with a TV or a serial or something, you have numerous episodes to express different sides of the character. If we looked at even 2 episodes of Teen Wolf and compared them to one movie, we would see that he's probably an actor that takes a longer time to develop a character, and that's not necessarily an issue. TV actors are great. Have you seen Game of Thrones? They have a shit ton of great actors. The problem is that you can't necessarily use a point that just because he was good on a TV show, he'd be great in a movie, because they're just completely different mediums.
Can I bring that up?
Sure.
Okay, there are distilled moments that you can pluck out of the show and just look at as an acting moment, and you can see this guy has untapped potential that you could totally use in something like this project. And I think that with the qualities that he's demonstrated, not only on Teen Wolf, but on other projects that he stood out in, I think that he could bring qualities to, again, both Spidey and to Pete that we want from a quintessential Spider-Man and from a quintessential Peter.
I'd like to bring up the fact that one of the main reasons Tom Holland was cast as Spider-Man, not only did he have the great voice and he fit the part acting-wise, there was a physicality to him that the producers really liked. He was gymnastics, had done dance for numerous years. When it came to Baby Driver, Ansel Elgort almost did all of his stunts because he wanted to do that. He likes to get into the physicality of the character, and I think that makes him attractive as a Spider-Man, If you see a stunt double of Spider-Man the whole movie, it's going to be a little hard to believe that, this is one guy.
Wait.
Because Ansel Elgort just, loves to give himself to a performance and loves to do his own stunts. I think that adds something to Spider-Man that Dylan O'Brien and Logan Lerman can't do.
Have you seen Amazing Runner? There's some pretty crazy stuff in that.
Tristan, is
Pardon?
the question, if Tom Holland wasn't cast, who would you cast?
Yeah.
If for Spider-Man Homecoming or for a different movie?
Could be basically in the MCU.
Because if we're doing it like that, then I don't think Ansel Elgort would have even been in Baby Driver if he was in Spider-Man Homecoming. So
Wait,
No,
that's
we were
not-
talking about now.
Yeah.
If we were casting him
okay.
now, yeah, we already covered that.
Okay, so I think I've got a winner here.
Okay.
Have you guys all? Okay, so here's the thing. Here's my problem. I think the best choice here is Logan Lerman,
hey,
but I don't know if he gave the best argument.
yeah, I really didn't. So
So I don't know if I can pick you, even though I think he's the only one here who I actually could see playing Spider-Man. But I just don't think you gave as strong of a rebuttal. But your first argument was really strong, and I think Logan Lerman would be an amazing choice. But it came down to Dylan O'Brien and Ansel Elgort, and actually no, it didn't. I'm giving it to Andrew for Ansel Elgort because I don't think Dylan O'Brien would be a good choice
Yeah,
at all.
Dylan O'Brien.
He's a knockoff version of Logan Lerman, pretty much.
I'd also just like to bring up quickly that Ansel Elgort's on the top 20 actors on IMDb right now, while both Logan Lerman and Dylan O'Brien aren't even in the top 500.
I very much disagree with,
Fast Summer Kid. That
like,
doesn't even.
if it was personal choice, by far it would be Logan Lerman. I just think Andrew gave a little bit more there. Okay, let's move on. Is everyone ready for the last question?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Hello?
The final... Hey, Tim, we can hear you.
Hello?
Hey.
Alright, good.
Okay, the final question is, in honor of the new Venom movie that was announced and is getting a lot of backlash right now, a lot of people aren't excited for this, pitch a Spider-Man spin-off movie using any side character or villain or side plot or whatever from the Spider-Man universe. And we're going to start with Tim on this one.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Alright, so, me, right?
Yeah, you.
Alright. So basically mine, I don't know if you guys heard, but there's this whole, like, comic thing called Spider-Verse, where there's, like, a million different Spider-Men, like, just from different universes, like, coming into one to defeat this, like, I forgot who it was, but it was, like, someone. So basically, like, you could have, I doubt, like, both of them would sign on for this, but you could have Tom Holland and then Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire as different universe Spider-Mans. And then you can just add on from there. You can have, like, Spider Pig, you know, like an animated pig spider. You can have Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen. You can have Ryan Reynolds as Spider-Pool. Like, the possibilities are endless. And they could, like, fight, like, a mega Venom or something like that. Just anything random. It'd be a stupid, fun time. It'd be really entertaining. And it also had all three of the, well, hopefully, but, like, if this happens, it'll have all three of the Spider-Men, like, to have dominated the screen before. So, and that's basically it.
Oh, okay. That was.
I kind of hate myself for not picking that now.
That was a very interesting choice. Let's move on to Film Buff.
Okay. So for my choice, I think that since there was a Easter egg in the midst of Homecoming that alluded to him in the first place, I think that later down the line, introducing Miles Morales in his own movie to the MCU would be a very good choice for any possible spin-off or, you know, what say you? Because this is a very interesting character because this is the kind of jumping off point for Peter Parker. This is the passing down of the torch, and this is a very interesting way in which to do something like that, because this isn't different than, hey, let's just have Bucky or Sam become Cap. No, this is like a new kid experiencing it for the first time, and he's he has a much different story to tell than Peter. He grew up in a different part of New York. He doesn't have the same backstory. He doesn't really go to the same high school. He just kind of lives in a much more slummier area, and seeing him and seeing the joys of him become Spider-Man is something that was very unique in the comics, and I think that the dynamic between Peter and Miles would be something very, very interesting to explore, because you can have what Tony was to Peter in this, but Peter would be to Miles. And I think that going in a place like this within the MCU right now especially would be a very interesting way to go, because obviously down the line we're going to need more heroes to set up more phases and going forward in this giant franchise. So I think that introducing a character like this and a very interesting character like this would be the best move possible. He's already been set up. I think it's the right place to go next, and that's why I'm pitching Miles Morales.
Good choice. And next is Andrew.
Yeah, so I like both your ideas. I went in a completely different direction. So I think this is important to preface before I start my idea. This isn't a movie that would play on the big screen. This is a movie that I think would go to Netflix, and that's where the center of it would be, where they're more focused on a darker side of the MCU. Okay, so let me get to my idea. So my movie idea is based off the Spider-Man villain Mysterio. And what I'm pitching is a Silence of the Lambs type of movie, but mixed in with the illusionist elements of Mysterio's character. So the movie opens up with the murder of Daniel Barkart, an up-and-coming stuntman that bears striking resemblance to the crimes committed by Quentin Beck, otherwise known as the original Mysterio. Detective Betty Brand, a former journalist of the Daily Bugle, investigates the crime by interviewing the former Mysterio, who's now behind bars. Much like his alter ego, he likes to play mind games with her the whole movie. The film centers around with her interviewing Quentin to try to figure out who the murderer is, while seeking help from her former colleagues at the Daily Bugle. That way we can integrate characters like Jonah J. Jameson. The plot twist is that Daniel Becker, the first victim of the serial killer, is actually Mysterio, and he used his murder to cover up his crimes, which is favorable for the comics because both Quentin Beck and Daniel Becker were Mysterio in the comic books.
Can I make a point real quick? Can I kind of ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Did you just take Jessica Jones, but with Mysterio?
I've never seen Jessica Jones.
Okay, because that bears a striking resemblance to the plot of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I would not be able to tell you. I based it more off Silence of the Lambs.
Okay. No, that's fine. I get it.
Oh yeah,
I can see that now.
See it.
Alright, do we start the fight, Tristan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can start rebuttaling whenever you guys are ready. Who wants to start the rebuttal?
I will go first.
Okay.
Is anyone gonna go?
Why don't you go, Tim?
Oh, okay. Well, wait, I forgot what Film Buff's idea was.
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales. Oh yeah, about that. I'm pretty sure they're already making an animated movie about that.
No, but in the MCU.
He's pitching an idea. It doesn't matter if they're already doing one.
Well, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're planning on doing that because
They are, but that doesn't matter. Like, Spider-Verse would never happen. I can totally pitch you 1,000 ways, but that would never
it
happen.
doesn't necessarily matter if it's going to happen or not.
Right, exactly.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to use that as my argument.
Okay, but yeah, I actually think that like both of your ideas are really good. I actually have nothing bad to say about it. This isn't like the Transformers one, which every idea was really bad. So, I mean,
Okay.
Miles Morales is a really popular character now because of his, status with as an African American character. So, and everyone sees him as like this.
And Hispanic.
Are you saying he's just a good character because he's Hispanic and African American?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. No, I'm not. No, but it just it. All right, I really don't know how to say this, but yeah, Miles Morales is a really popular character, so that would definitely be a great pitch. But who do you think would be the villain, or what would he have to go up against, or something?
Craven.
Craven?
I actually have a few things I'd like to say about the Miles Morales idea. So, with the current version of the MCU, we've been introduced to Tom Holland, who is an incredibly young version of Peter Parker.
Honestly, far down the line.
Far down the line? Okay, let me bring this up then.
Plus, then he'd be but then people would complain about him being the fourth rebooted Spider-Man or something like that.
Not necessarily. No, I don't think that'll be an issue because he's a completely different character. He's not another Peter Parker. Anyways, my issue with this issue is that what made Miles kind of a compelling character in the first place is that even in the original universe comics, he wasn't the first Spider-Man in that universe. He only picked up the mantle after Peter Parker unfortunately passed away. And what made that character so interesting is that he deals with a lot of the morals. Am I as good as a Spider-Man? Am I living up to Peter Parker's legacy? And unless your idea really focused on the dynamic between the two, that wasn't really explored until
that he
Spider-Verse.
passed it on after.
Yeah, I think with your idea, even though I like Miles Morales as a character, I'm looking forward to what they do with him. Your idea more centers around a relationship between Peter and Miles, which is a lot less interesting than Miles dealing with the struggle of a dead Peter Parker.
No. Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Peter could basically pass down the torch because he wants to pursue other things, and he's in the background, and you can have that interesting dynamic, a la Peter and Tony in this original or in Homecoming, which isn't at the forefront of the movie, but it's there and it's compelling. What I'm saying is, you can see Miles and him try to get out of the shadow of Peter and him become his own hero, and I want to see him have his own character arc of, again, can he become as good of a Spider-Man as Peter was, or you can explore the arc of he doesn't need to be as long as he's his own hero, and you can explore that. Sorry. I think bringing Craven in as the villain would be really interesting because I have an idea in that he would see Spider-Man as the ultimate hunt. So
yeah, I really don't like Craven as a villain.
Seriously?
I think Craven has potential, but my big problem with that is that in terms of the audience, it's another Spider-Man. In the universe, people are already confused. Like my mom, when we went to see Spider-Man Homecoming together, she wondered where Andrew Garfield was. Okay, like I know.
Then how confused would they be when Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland all come together?
Exactly. I'm not even talking about Spider-Verse because that's all.
Well, you know,
we don't even need.
it's like
talk
for,
about
like you know, these
if
movies
audiences
aren't really made for like it's an already established universe, and you should have like already known that there was gonna be a new Spider-Man after Civil War.
Okay, but it's not up for an audience to do their homework in between movies to understand everything that's happening. It's up to the filmmaker to make a compelling story to the audience, which they don't have to see every movie in order to understand.
Explain how it is. It's like
Actually, no, it's all in the franchise. That should work.
Yes, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe is 22 films at this point. That's a lot of investment.
Average
reports say that an average moviegoer only sees 5 movies every year. Marvel's kind of dominate that market right now, but unfortunately, that's not it is. You can't expect an audience to see every single one of your movies.
Yes, you can. Do you know why?
It's unreasonable to expect that.
No,
there's a reason that all the MCU films don't gross the exact same amounts because not every single person sees all the movies.
Can I bring counterpoint? No, can I bring counterpoint to that?
Go ahead.
You can't dock Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows for relying on what came before in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince just because it was a predecessor to it. Yes, it's all one continuous franchise. Ant-Man is a prequel to Civil War, and Doctor Strange is a sequel to Civil War. It's all one
Doctor Strange has nothing to do with Civil War, though.
But it's a sequel because it's in one continuous franchise. You cannot dock the Return of the King for relying on what happened in the Two Towers.
It's one series.
This is a cinematic universe. Harry Potter is a straightforward series.
Yeah, and so is this. This is one series.
No, it's
okay. So are you telling me an audience has to see
stories?
Yeah, are you saying that an audience has to see Iron Man 3 in order to understand Captain America Winter Soldier completely? A cinematic universe is very different in scope because in a series you can expect it linear.
Yes, but you can't dock the audience points because they don't understand what's going on because they didn't see the previous entry in a franchise. This is one of the points I hate when people bring up negatives.
But this isn't a series. This isn't a series in the franchise. This is a cinematic universe. They're completely different.
But it is one interconnected franchise.
I would just watch the first 2 Iron Man movies. So if there's a new Spider-Man movie, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd watch the new Spider-Man, like the first 2 Spider-Man movies, like Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man.
You still can't dock that. It's a continuous franchise. It is one continuity.
Okay.
Or you can just watch the movies where Spider-Man is in. You don't have to watch the entirety, like all 22 movies before one, like every single month before like the newest Marvel.
Okay, guys, this argument's stupid because it's not necessarily even arguing towards a sin film. Anyways, back to my point about let's talk about Spider-Verse for example. Your thing doesn't really seem well planned. You just said, yeah, let's throw them in and make them fight Venom. Has Venom already been established?
It doesn't have to be Venom. It could be like a giant villain, like not Thanos or something, but like I think it was called Madam Web or something. She was like a big god. I don't remember.
Okay,
like, Madam Web was the mentor. She was not the villain.
One problem I have with the Spider-Verse idea is that, when you try to stuff so many, like Suicide Squad, for example, when you try to stuff too many characters in one story, you're not going to have time to further develop all of them. You're bringing back 2 different Spider-Mans. You're introducing a Spider-Man who is a pig, and a Spider. Well, we were told to pitch one spin-off movie. We weren't told to pitch off numerous spin-off movies.
Maybe like a part 1, part 2.
A part 1, part 2? Is the Spider-Verse going to be the next Avengers Infinity War?
Avengers Infinity War isn't even going to be part 1, part 2 anymore. They're just 2 different films now.
Really?
Something like that.
I didn't know that. Is that true? Okay,
yeah, that's true.
Okay, regardless of the point, you're introducing so many characters. How can you expect an audience to care about all of them? When
you don't have to introduce
Miles Morales, Spider-Pig.
Here's the thing. No, Guardians of the Galaxy perfectly did that.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy.
You can have like 5 of them.
5 characters. You're expecting an audience to
Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen, and then like a little tiny Groot-like figure like as Spider-Ham. Like you can just have that.
Well, did
you just pitch Spider-Ham?
Yes.
You want to talk about confusing? Guys. Tell an audience to understand that they're just combined 3 different versions of Spider-Man. People can barely comprehend the MCU.
Guys, I got a winner here.
Yeah, people. No, I still have to explain to my friends why Andrew Garfield isn't in the MCU.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're combining all of them, you're just going to confuse the fuck out of audience. Also, the problem with Spider-Verse as a continuous movie is that every single character is a variant of Spider-Man. They all have the same powers. There's nothing that makes them unique from one another. In Guardians of the Galaxy, you have a raccoon, you have a tree. They're on very different sides of
yeah, but they're from different universes.
All the different spiders.
They have different cultures.
But they all do the same thing. Okay,
it doesn't have to be like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Well, that was your whole idea. So
this is based off of like a bunch of posts I've seen. They're like, "Whoa, imagine if they made like a Spider-Verse."
Yes, because the internet is exactly right when it comes to what movies should be made all the time.
Yeah. Well, It was a pitch, so I mean, it wasn't like it's gonna actually happen.
Yes. Okay, guys, I've got a clear winner here. Anyone else?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm just.
Just give
say
us the speed round question right now.
All right,
Kristen.
so
Who won?
Andrew won this. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
give us the
wow,
speed round question.
I'm completely out now, aren't I?
yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, you are? Wait, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tim's
you
out,
points.
Oh.
and
I
you've
didn't
got
know.
a point. So,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play some video games at the same time.
You guys didn't even say anything about my idea. I'm kind of sad.
about
Because it
whose
was
idea?
really good.
No, yeah, your idea
Well,
was
yeah,
really
your
well
idea was,
planned
like-
out. You said, like, from the very
Wait, but,
beginning, you
said pitch a
definitely won
movie,
the.
not a Netflix show.
I said a Netflix movie.
Yeah,
Netflix
Andrew was
movie.
like,
Well,
that
does it
was
even have
a really good
Spider-Man in it,
argument.
or is it just like the Mysterio thing?
No, it's
She
just
said
a
spin-off. It's a spin-off.
Oh,
Yeah, Spider
like a
Verse. I
Sinister
mean,
Six thing, like how they were planning it.
Spider Verse would be a cool video game.
No, guys, wait,
but,
can I
like,
change my idea?
And Spider-Verse
Wait, I
is a
want
good
an
video game.
Aunt
Shattered
May
Dimensions is a great video game.
I want Marissa Tomei to be a spy.
Don't do the Aunt May spy bull.
Okay.
Sally Field is.
Okay, so here's how the speed. Oh, first of all, Tim, thank you for playing. You were great,
Fuck you.
and
I'm joking.
No,
Thanks.
That's like the most
you-
half-assed compliment, like backhanded compliment ever.
nah, you were great in the Transformers film duel as well, and this one, and we're definitely gonna have you on another one soon.
Yay.
Do you want to help me judge the speed round?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so since Andrew's like leading, he's got a 3-point lead or 2-point lead. Yeah, 2-point lead. Basically, there's five speed rounds questions. So if Andrew gets one, hold on. Wait, how many speed round questions do I have? No, I have 6 speed round questions. So
Okay.
basically, if Andrew gets 2 of them, Film Buff's out. Yeah, so Film Buff has to get 4.
Wait, that's a bit uneven, though.
Yeah, I know, but Andrew's leading, so
Ah, true.
yeah, okay. So let's start the speed round. So the first question is: this is totally Spider-Man. This isn't Spider-Man related, but since Michael Keaton was the Vulture in Spider-Man: Homecoming, in honor of his performance, what is the best Michael Keaton performance? Okay, I heard Birdman. Film Buff, do you have one?
What'd you say?
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Best Michael Keaton
Beetlejuice.
performance.
Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice.
Okay, so we've got Beetlejuice versus Birdman. Andrew, you can start. You've got 20 seconds. And then, basically how the speed round works is you have 20 seconds to say your argument, and then you each have a 10-second rebuttal. Yeah, so it's really quick. Okay, ready? Andrew, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Birdman was a very important film for Michael Keaton because up to that point he was kind of left in the dust. Birdman was a role that really got him out in front and got him a lot of Oscar attention for his great performance. It was a difficult movie to film as it was all looked like it was one shot, but Michael Keaton did a spectacular job. Even though he didn't relate to the character that was portrayed in the film at all, he added a lot of acting chops to it, making you believe that
All
this
right,
is what
you're
struggle
done.
that Michael Keaton went through.
20 seconds up. Good argument. Film Buff, you can start whenever you're ready.
Beetlejuice is a character that's made iconic because of Michael Keaton's performance. He brought so much energy and charisma to this character that you wouldn't have had with any other performance because every unique aspect that he brought to the performance was absolutely iconic in every single way. There's so many iconic lines, so many moments that only Michael Keaton could have brought to the screen, and he did bring to the screen, and that's why it's remembered as one of his
20
best
seconds
performances.
up. All
Hey,
right,
can I just name a great Michael Keaton performance?
go ahead.
Jack Frost.
Get out.
Also,
Snowman movie.
he was great in Spotlight as well, but that was more of an ensemble performance.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, you've got a 10-second rebuttal whenever you're ready.
Okay. As much as Beetlejuice is an important character to Michael Keaton, it never really moved his career forward as he was left in obscurity. Birdman bound him back to the spotlight, which allows him to be great in numerous movies to come.
Okay, and Film Buff, whenever you're ready.
What are you talking about? Beetlejuice almost boosted his career. Batman became in so many dramas and comedies after that, and that's what led to Birdman, and that what led to his Oscar nomination. But this is a better performance because it's much more iconic, and he brought so much more memorable moments to Beetlejuice than he did Birdman.
Okay.
Why did I just waste all my breath?
All right, Tim. I'm gonna go to you for that. Who do you think won that one?
I feel like Andrew got that because I agree. Birdman kind of did reinvent his whole career because I've been seeing him in a lot more movies since that role than
Yeah.
he did in like 10 years. So
Yeah, Birdman was a really great comeback role
and
for him.
he was like amazing in that movie. So
And yeah, that definitely did boost his like Oscar status and made him one of the like A-list actors right now. So yeah, I'm gonna give that point to Andrew, which means it's 4-1.
Andrew is on fire today.
Yeah,
I
dang.
haven't seen Beetlejuice, so it's a little weird about that one.
I haven't seen Beetlejuice in a long time,
Okay, so
but it's so much fun.
all right, Film Buff needs to get all 4 of these to win. So let's see if he can do this. Let's see if Film Buff is.
Come on, Film Buff.
Well,
you can
not
do
all.
this.
Sorry, all four of these to tie. So let's see if. Wait, no. Yeah, no. He needs to get 3 of these to tie, 4 of these to win. Okay, ready for this? This is the next question, and Film Buff, I think you might be really good at this one. Best MCU film.
Civil War.
Oh fuck! I need a second to think. I don't watch a lot of Marvel movies.
Wait. Film Buff. I thought you said your favorite MCU was Homecoming.
No, it's my third favorite.
What? Okay.
Let him say his
Spider-Man
argument first. It's okay if he says his argument first. I still need to think of one.
Pardon?
You know what? Fuck it. Iron Man 3.
Just kidding.
Whoa.
All right. Film Buff, you can start. You've got 20 seconds whenever you're ready.
Civil War is a brilliantly constructed character drama that utilizes its characters at the best way possible because it creates a legitimately investing and compelling character drama between these characters. It fleshes out their motivations, their emotions, and their conflicts and their flaws. It's legitimately good family drama. It's not a bloated superhero movie. Yes, there's action, but it's about the characters and their motivations and their action.
Andrew, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay. After Avengers, Marvel could have gone back to doing what they usually do. They make action films, and they make action films that people enjoy. Iron Man 3 took a break from that. Instead of going back to action, which they explored Tony's psychosis, what it means to be Iron Man, how he struggled with the deals with Avengers. It's an interesting personal character drama that made Tony Iron Man a compelling hero. It also had one of the best villains in the MCU, and it had one of the best directors and cinematography.
Time's up.
Also, the Logan's awesome.
That best villains?
I said one of the best villains.
Okay.
All right. 10 seconds whenever you're ready, Film Buff.
Well, Aldrich Killing is a piece of shit, but also it's a totally inconsistent mess. Civil War is a legitimately brilliantly crafted film. It's a good film. Iron Man 3 doesn't know what tone it wants to go for, and it doesn't know what it should be, and it doesn't explore the character. It just
And Andrew, whenever you're ready.
Iron Man was really consistent because it was a Shane Black movie. Also, how can you say that Civil War was personalized and you understood character motivations when Hawkeye was only there from retirement and Ant-Man was just there because he would be cool?
All right. Dang, that's a tough one. I thought Film Buff would win this for sure because Iron Man 3 is not a popular pick, but this is a tough one. Who do you think won that, Tim?
While I really disagree with the whole best villain thing, he did have a really good rebuttal saying about the whole character motivation thing.
Can I have a 5-second rebuttal to that?
Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Sure, you each get 5 seconds because it's really tied for me right now.
Hawkeye's character is pre-established from Age of Ultron, and they already set up that they needed Ant-Man from the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the beginning of Civil War. Not the beginning, the middle, and the parking lot.
And Andrew, you've got 5 seconds.
Okay, give me a second to think about that. Just because they set it up doesn't necessarily mean a strong motivation. We don't understand why Ant-Man's there, only that he's needed.
Okay.
Can I have 2 seconds of rebuttal?
No. I think we've got.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Andrew. I think I really liked his arguments about how Civil War really misused some of the characters, and also how Shane Black really gave a unique style and did something different that the MCU doesn't usually do. So, Film Buff. Okay, hold on. 5.
Wait, you have to ask Tim's opinion too.
Oh yeah, Tim.
I agree with you, honestly.
Okay. So,
Andrew's just a really good,
really good
opinion
at
giver.
this. Yeah, we need to get Andrew against Ben Skenga, and
oh my god,
that would be amazing. That would be the best fight ever. But we do have 4 more questions left. So if Film Buff does get these 4, then it's a tie. But if
Yeah.
Andrew gets one more, then Andrew wins the entire thing.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. This is a weird question, but I decided to ask it. Who is the best Aunt May?
Rosemary Harris.
What? What was the question?
Who is the best Aunt May?
The best Aunt May? Oh, fuck.
He picked Rosemary Harris.
Sally Fields.
I don't know any of the actress's name off the top of my head.
There's Sally
Say
Field,
Sally Field.
Sally Field, and Marissa Tomei. Sally's from the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and Marissa Tomei's from Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh,
Okay.
They blew my tires.
This is only for movies, right?
Yeah, this is
Yes.
only for movies. So,
Okay.
Film Buff, since you picked first, you can start.
I'll go with Sally Field.
Oh, Sally Field. Okay.
Who washes the flag?
Can I go first?
Go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Can I have a little bit of think?
Sure.
Rosemary Harris portrays Aunt May as she should be in the comics. She's a compassionate, caring, mother-like figure that cares for Peter every second and gives him motivational speeches she doesn't even know her motivational speeches. She just feels like an authentic, real person that'll always be there for Peter, and she's always her own interesting character too, because everything that Rosemary Harris brings to the character is absolutely competent and compelling.
All right. And Andrew, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Going into Amazing Spider-Man, Sally Field had a lot of big shoes to fill in for. Instead of trying to do the same thing that was Rosemary Harris, that she gave her own interpretation of Aunt May, who was a little tougher on Peter. Instead of giving advice, she told him just to go out and do something. It was a different characterization, but I think it played well with the Amazing Spider-Man universe, while Rosemary Harris was a little cringy even for Sam Raimi.
All right. Cool. So, Film Buff, you've got 10 seconds whenever you're ready.
Sally Field is great. She doesn't feel like a fleshed out character. Rosemary Harris is compelling all the way through, and she always feels like her own character. Yeah,
All right.
I totally butchered that. I had an argument and I didn't use it. What did I say?
Andrew, whenever you're ready.
Rosemary Harris had more time than Sally Field to flesh out her character. Sally Field had this amazing scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2 where it said everything you needed to know about her interpretation of Aunt May. Rosemary Harris, I only have 2 words: angel monologue.
All right.
Angel monologue.
Tim, who do you think won this one?
Film Buff.
Yeah, I agree. Film Buff,
Yeah, I
think,
agree.
gave a stronger argument there. But, yeah, that was a good round. So now it's 5-2. Let's see if Film Buff can make a comeback here. Next question. We're having a bargain bin pick. So if you had to pick one of these 2 films, which one would you pick? Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I didn't even hear the full question. What was the question?
So if you had to watch one of these movies, which one would you watch? Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Which one did he pick?
Amazing Spider-Man 2, so you've got...
Works for me.
Which, in my opinion, I like Spider-Man 3 more than Homecoming, but
Boy.
you guys can all hate on me in the comments.
Okay, you picked first, so you can go first.
Yeah.
For sure? Okay. Despite the messiness, this is actually an emotionally impactful film with a plethora of great moments. Spider-Man 3 doesn't really have any of that. It's a completely muddled mess that doesn't actually have any emotional core. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is an emotional core. Scenes with Peter and Gwen are gold. Scenes with Peter and Aunt May are gold. Peter's relationship with his father is amazing, and Gwen's death is one of the most emotional moments in comic book movie history.
All right.
Okay.
Andrew, you can go whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let's be honest, both these films are in the bargain bin because they're both big piles of shit. The question is, if you're ever going to watch one shitty movie, what would you pick? I pick Spider-Man 3 because it's so bad and has such iconically bad scenes that you will enjoy watching it just for the amount of cringe we'll do. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just bad compared to the cringiness bad of Spider-Man 3.
All right, good argument. Film Buff, your turn.
You just pointed out that Spider-Man 3 is a terrible movie. I'm defending mine for what it is, and I believe that it is actually an underrated film that was unfairly panned by critics. It is really emotional. Spider-Man 3 is just a terrible, terrible film.
Andrew, your turn.
All right. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is boring. Well, at least even though Spider-Man 3 is bad, it's bad, and you can enjoy watching it.
All right. I think I'm not even going to go to Tim on this. I think Film Buff won that round.
Yeah, Film Buff won.
Yeah. So it's 5-3. Dang, Film Buff. Okay. If Andrew wins this next one, he wins the entire game. So, cast someone to play Gwen Stacy in the next Spider-Man.
Haley Steinfeld.
Lily James.
Oh, dang.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Personally, I'd pick Elle Fanning, but that's
I
for
don't even know
personal
who-
reasons.
Elle Fanning's great. She doesn't fit the character of Gwen.
Well, I want to see
We're
Elle
not
Fanning in
arguing him,
every
buddy.
single movie, so... Who said first? Haley Steinfeld? Okay, you
Yes.
can go. Actually, Haley Lou Richardson would be a good...
Okay,
but
wait,
yeah,
can I go?
Yeah, sure, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go.
Okay, Haley Steinfeld is an Oscar-nominated actress for a reason. She brings depth to every single role that she brings, even if silly shit like Pitch Perfect. She is a legitimately good actress, and I think that with the right amount of prep time, she could actually pull off what Gwen is: a smart, charming, intellectual nerd, but she can go toe to toe intellectually with Peter. But she's also very charming and sweet.
All right.
And Haley brings that up.
All right, Andrew, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Lily James has become a bit of a star recently. She's starring in a lot of big blockbusters as a lead. That's interesting because she's a lead, while Haley Steinfeld only gets really recognized for her supporting characters. She has experience playing teenagers before. If you want to talk about acting talent, she was on Downton Abbey, and she was nominated for 3 awards her entire life, and she's won all 3 of them. This girl's a star, and she's going to continue to rise in popularity and talent as she continues to grow.
All right, good argument. Film Buff, you've got 10 minutes to rebuttal.
Edge of 17, she already played a very convincing teenager, and I think she can do it again, but with a certain charm and sweetness and legitimate intelligence that she can bring to the role, and go to toe with, I think, which is one of the best Spider-Man performances, which is Emma Stone. I think she can top it. Lily James cannot because she does not fit the role.
All right, and Andrew, you got 15 seconds because Film Buff went a bit over.
That's fine.
Okay. After all those Spider-Man films, we're tired of the damsel of distress. We want a female lead who can do something. Lily James has been starring in numerous things. It's an action-leading role. She's not a woman who's going to stay back and let the man do all the work. She's going to be able to express herself and add a little bit of badassery to the role that I think is missing from Spider-Man leads.
All right. So, Tim, who do you think won that round?
I feel like Film Buff had a good one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
I
mean, I don't really see.
Lily James.
Never mind.
I actually thought Andrew's argument was a bit stronger, but if you want, we could.
No, you're the host, so you can do whatever you want.
All right, yeah, I think I'm gonna give that to Andrew just because I thought he gave a really great argument there, and I think Lily James, she has, I think, demonstrated herself more as a great actress, even though Haley Steinfeld has been in some great roles. And Haley Steinfeld right now, I think, is focusing more on music than acting too. But like, yeah. So yeah, Andrew won the entire game. That was a really impressive debut.
Dude, Andrew's a god.
I know.
Yeah, I was really worried about Haley Steinfeld because I wasn't aware she was nominated for an Oscar. So I was like, okay, I can use the fact that Lily James is nominated for some things.
Oh yeah,
That's gonna get me.
she was nominated for True Grit, like when she was 10.
I can see that now. Yeah.
All right, so to close out this episode, let's all plug like our Instagram and Letterboxd accounts so people can go follow us. Yeah. So, Tim, why don't you tell people where to go follow
All right,
you?
my Instagram is the Scarfather Movies, and my letterbox is Blue Illuminati, Blue_Illuminati.
All right, cool. Film Buff, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, you can find my account, FilmBuff007, on Instagram and Letterboxd.
And Andrew, got anything to plug?
Not really, to be honest.
All right, well, you can follow me on Movie Reviews 100, or just follow this, subscribe to
Honestly,
this
Tristan,
channel.
that's like the most generic Instagram movie reviewer account name ever.
I know, but that's how I got a lot of followers, because like when people search up movie, that's why I created that account name. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And if you enjoyed this, click the subscribe button and watch our other film duels. All right, bye.